It's a great morning.
Today on Fresno State Focus, a tribute to our nation's veterans. A look at the men and women who served during World War II through the Korean War.
And some of the special services available to veterans at Fresno State.
Plus, a local organization known for breaking barriers, what they're doing now for veterans. Fresno State Focus starts now.
Hello and welcome to Fresno State Focus. I'm Julie Cruz.
And I'm Alex White. Today we honor our veterans, the men and women who served our country during wartime and peacetime.
But first, results from the 2016 general election. Ryan Smith is in the election center with a rundown of the results. Ryan?
Thanks, Alex and Julie. Here are your 2016 election results. Donald Trump is the president-elect. He won nearly every swing state in the country. Trump received 279 electoral votes. He needed to win the key battleground states of Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and he did just that. Even though Clinton won the popular vote by 205,000 votes, Trump still managed to pull off what some would call a historic upset. Republicans also won the majority in the House and Senate. As Clinton supporters watched the election results come in last night, their mood went from celebratory to one of defeat. At Fresno State, members of the College Democrats Club said they were too disappointed to talk about it. Other students say they were shocked about the results and even in disbelief.
I didn't think Trump was going to win at all. I was out with my friends and we went to go see Doctor Strange, and all of us were checking during the movie how the election is going, and then afterwards we're just like, this is actually happening right now. Trump is the president.
College Republican Party Treasurer Zachary Hill says he wasn't surprised by the results.
She lost the election because she's a liar. And when you lie and you lie and you lie about your emails and you lie about things that you've said and you lie about what you do with the money that when you're making these speeches and you're lying about the money that's coming in from those, I think people would rather take honestly a little bit of morality issues than somebody who constantly lies to the people.
Clinton gave her concession speech this morning. She said that even though women haven't shattered the glass ceiling yet, one day someone will be able to, and we will have a female president. She encouraged Americans to have an open mind about Trump and give him a chance to lead our country. There were several propositions on the California ballot that were controversial this year. California voters voted on 17 different propositions: Proposition 52 on Medi-Cal funding, Proposition 54 on legislation rules, and 55 on taxing the wealthy. All passed. Proposition 57, which would allow parole for nonviolent criminals, also passed. Because Proposition 63 passed, there will be more regulations when buying or selling ammunition. Proposition 64 passed as well, which means it will be legal for people over the age of 21 to smoke recreational marijuana. Prop 60, or as it's better known, the condom measure, did not pass. Of the two plastic bag measures, Prop 65 failed and Prop 67 passed. Voters also upheld the death penalty, and it looks like Prop 66, which would shorten the appeal time, may also pass. Activists fighting for peace and change in the government marched in an annual global protest. Over the weekend, people wore Guy Fawkes masks, waved flags, and held signs to spread their message. Many of the marchers support the anonymous movement that rallies against government corruption and injustice.
There is nothing good going on right now in our country, and there needs to be a change. The corruption is just too much. The lies are just too much. What they're doing to us is just too much. It's too much to handle, too much to deal with.
Some of the people who marched say they don't believe any presidential candidate will be able to help make America great again. This protest is held every year on November 5th, the date when Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the House of Parliament in London. Alex and Julie, let's get back to our Veterans Day special, and happy Veterans Day.
Thanks, Ryan. Veterans Day is this Friday. It was named to commemorate the end of World War I and armistice between Germany and the Allies.
Armistice Day was made official on the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. It became a national holiday in 1938 to thank veterans for their service.
During the Korean War, some members of the Air Force were assigned jobs they never thought they'd have to do. I had the opportunity to meet a Korean War veteran whose job overseas led to a long and successful career after returning home.
Because there's 60 years of catching
A laugh that could fill a room. This is Ruben Alvarez, an Air Force veteran who found his passion for broadcasting while serving during the Korean War. It was during his time in French Morocco that Alvarez became a part of the golden age of radio.
Alvarez, Staff Sergeant so-and-so has to go stateside, emergency. Keep the records going. So this is for the Armed Forces Radio Service. And there's turntables, communications, and I said, oh my God.
Alvarez continued his career in broadcasting even after serving, prompting his move to Fresno when Channel 47 opened its doors.
He says, I'll take it if I can. He says, all right. So I started summer, and when summer was over, he says, I want you to stay on. So I stayed on for 9 years.
These 9 years leading him on a journey he had never planned. His success in the studio coming from his courage overseas. This courage, his son says, is the reason why his dad is his biggest hero.
There's no greater courage. I don't care whether you're on the front line, in the back lines in Louisiana, peeling potatoes or doing whatever. You signed that check and you gave them a blank check on your life, and that is a hero no matter what you did. So I have veterans on a pedestal.
This past September, their bond grew stronger, both traveling together to Washington, D.C. as a part of the Central Valley Honor Flight.
I've been like the gum on the shoe, if I could, sticking with him wherever he was. When he mentioned this, I thought I would love to go.
The two visited every memorial in Washington, D.C. on the 3-day trip. It was a trip they would never forget.
It means a lot, So that was amazing.
And it was a trip that Alvarez couldn't imagine going on with anyone else.
Oh, I'm so proud. He's my buddy, he's my shadow. It was a thrill to have him with us.
Joey says that complete strangers would come up to his father and thank him for his service everywhere they went. He says that kindness that they received on the trip made it that much more special.
There have been 12 Central Valley Honor Flights, and now another group of veterans will be able to make a trip to visit the war memorials in their honor. The nonprofit organization has taken hundreds of veterans to visit the nation's capital. Tiffany Heyer volunteered as a guardian for a veteran who earned a Silver Star.
These guys and gals put their life on the line for us, and they didn't question it. And today I think a lot of people would question what they do or what they would do. And the generation that served stepped up without question and without any regard for their own safety.
World War II and Korean War veterans risked their lives on the line of duty. For some of these men and women, this is the only chance they will have to see these monuments.
Many of the soldiers who fought in World War II were forced to uproot their lives to fight for their country. Reporter Kaylee Hunt shares one veteran story.
He comes up and says, thank you. And little Boy Scouts, little girls.
The 11th honor flight took place this past year, and one lucky World War II veteran experienced it with his grandson.
And the helpers, in many cases, children or grandchildren of the veterans, why, they wore blue. But it was all organized, and they were told that if they had good Velcro tape, they were going to tape us together. And they were supposed to make sure that we didn't fall down. Now, I qualified for World War II.
Charles Day was sent his draft papers after attending college at San Jose State. He signed his enlistment papers to the Army in 1944 and served 36 years, and later found himself retiring in 1980.
Get out of from San Jose State, and I'm in Stanford working my MA, PhD, and hey, come, you got 10 days.
On the flight back home after visiting the war memorials, the veterans received thank you cards for their service from friends, family, and admirers.
I mean, it was really moving.
The
going to take me around and show me the operation down there, what they do.
Rocky Wilson is another Army veteran. He enlisted in the Army at the end of World War II and climbed up the ranks just like Charles Day.
Give me my rank, my next step on my rank, you know, they kind of made you work for it. You just didn't automatically get it.
Charles Day now spends his free time playing mahjong and teaches his neighbors the game. This game room may look empty right now, but Tuesday nights it is full with Charles' neighbors learning to play a new game. Charles Day has dedicated his life to serving our country, and appreciation for his service is recognized nationwide. Kaylee Hunt, Fresno State Focus.
As we continue our special Fresno State Focus tribute to veterans, we'll meet some of the men and women who served in World War II and the Korean War. Plus, how one couple fell in love before shipping out to fight in Korea.
And I got the chance to spend some time with the president of the Central Valley Honor Flight, Al Perry. I'll share some of my experiences when we come back.
This is our Fresno State, forming relationships and learning experiences that last a lifetime. Making friends who are like family, learning from professors who treat us like family, and earning a degree to make a better future for our family. Nice. Engaging our alumni generation by generation by generation. This is our Fresno State. Welcome to the family.
Success. At Fresno State, it's no secret. It's discovering new ways to change our world. It's creating opportunities as diverse as our community itself. It's in the distinction of our graduates as they lead us into the future. Success is no secret at Fresno State. It's our mission.
Barbara and Robert Powers have been married for 62 years. They met while they were both in the Navy, waiting to fly to Korea. Liz Juarez has their love story that started with the war and continues to this day.
All the vets, 56.
Robert Powers had been in the Navy Reserves for about 2 years as he waited to be shipped out to take part in the Korean War.
So I was held off, and then they postponed it, and the war was winding down. So they said, we're sending you to a hospital. Where do you want to go? So I went to Pensacola, Florida.
Barbara was also stationed in Pensacola, Florida, awaiting to ship out to Korea.
They thought I'd be a good candidate for the hospital corps, and I had to go to school there for 20 weeks. And when I got out, I was transferred to Pensacola Naval Hospital, which was my duty station.
Barbara and Robert never made it to Korea, but they did meet each other while working night shifts in the hospital.
We had our own private beach at the hospital, so we went down to the beach and spent the day. So that night when we all lined up, the only two people with a sunburn were Barbara and I, so that's how we got started.
Barbara and Robert fell in love and decided to get married soon after they learned they would be separated. Barbara was close to being shipped out to Europe and Robert to Great Lakes for training.
I missed the Navy in some respects, but it was just not set up that we could spend any more time in it. So we did that, and then this honor program came along to go to Washington.
Last month, the Powers joined dozens of other Korean War and World War II veterans on Honor Flight Number 12. They visited the memorials in Washington, D.C. and took part in remembering the time they served, and that eventually brought them together. Liz Juarez, Fresno State Focus.
Some veterans have a hard time finding a place where they can dedicate their time after their service. In Fresno, a local gym opened its doors to veterans to give them an outlet. Larry Green now is able to break the barrier between his disability and his love for archery.
That I had always been interested in archery. However, now I can't. And I learned that can't is a bad word around here, because they showed me that if you have the desire, they have the way. And they showed me how to do archery with one arm.
Break the Barriers is a nonprofit organization that helps veterans stay active. Archery is one of 25 programs for veterans. While it once started with just 12 veterans, has now brought in over 500 members. As a part of the Veterans Education Program, Fresno State offers a separate orientation for veteran students. It was created to help make the transition to college as easy as possible. Russell Gross is a counselor with the Veteran Student Support Services, and he's here to tell us about the special orientation. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Could you tell me when this special orientation was created?
Yes, this orientation was created a few years back, fairly recently, and now we have two orientations. The last one we had was in May and then in June.
And why is it so important to have this separate orientation for these veteran students?
Yes, it's important because typically your veteran student is older, they have more obligations, they just have a lot of different experiences than your typical student. So it's really good to be able to connect with them, especially connect with them the resources that they need, you know, as far as the, whether it be helping them maybe with their utility bills, just letting them about the resources that are available in the community.
And what are they taken through during this orientation?
Where they're taken through, in the orientation, it goes through all the resources on the campus, like a typical dog days, but it is like a one-stop shopping for all the resources available in town, and also like our resource, the Student Support Service Veterans, where we have a retention program where we let them know about our resources that are available to them, because really we want them to stay in school, and we connect them to all kinds of resources like a reading and writing specialist. We offer a grant in our program. And we offer we basically follow up on them as far as at-risk notifications. So if they're having difficulty in school, we want to follow up with them so to make sure that they succeed and graduate on time.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We've been talking with Veteran Student Support Services Counselor Russell Gross.
The Central Valley Honor Flight just recently returned from trip number 12, a trip that touches the hearts of many veterans, guardians, and volunteers. But this trip is a trip Al Perry, the trip leader, will never forget.
It's a great morning. This is the best morning.
This is the energy that Honor Flight President Al Perry has given to more than 800 veterans over the last 12 Honor Flights. It all started 3 years ago when sportscaster Paul Leffler wanted to bring Honor Flight to Fresno. He asked Perry to be the president and trip leader.
But when Paul called, I said, yeah, that fits my background. I'd love to do it, and I won't let you down.
Perry served during the Vietnam War from 1971 to 1973, where he worked in the U.S. in the Medical Service Corps and Hospital Administration.
In my view, in my heart, military service was something I needed to do.
The most recent honor flight returned on October 26th. It was also Perry's last honor flight. He says there's a time and place for everything, and it was time for him to step down.
I had to step out, but feeling grateful, just grateful that I'd had the chance, not just to get 200 veterans there and back, but to work with this extraordinary group of volunteers to make it happen. I mean, the friendships you make along the way, the people you meet.
But what Perry may not realize is that it is he who has touched the lives of many.
The logistics that went into this, that man is fabulous. There's nobody that can duplicate what he's done for the veterans.
As president of the Central Valley Honor Flight, Perry spent up to 12 hours a day planning the trips down to the last detail. Many of the volunteer staff for Honor Flight say people just don't understand how much Perry truly does.
How did I do it? A lot of caffeine. A lot of caffeine and a lot of hours is how I did it.
But it was more than just caffeine that kept him going.
You know, the truth is, Julie, it's in what we call in my wheelhouse. It's something I'm comfortable with. I'm kind of a challenge junkie. You know, if you've got a big challenge, I'll take it.
Taking over for Perry?
We've got a guy named Mark Hopkins, who's been a bus captain for 6 trips, also a paramedic. And he is good to go. He's the senior bus captain. I'll work with him.
Perry mentored Hopkins during Honor Flight number 12 and will continue to do so.
Yeah, and when you think about what Al Perry does and the things that this Honor Flight does for our veterans, it just overwhelms you. It's just an amazing journey that we go on.
Along with Mark Hopkins, there will be 4 more people taking over all of the responsibilities that Al did himself. Al says anytime they need his help, he'll be just a phone call away.
Coming up, we'll show you how one veteran is transitioning to college after serving our country.
And we'll learn more about a Fresno State program that offers veterans help to start new lives when they return home.
I got the bulldog spirit up in my head.
Up in my head.
Up in my head.
I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Up in my head to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Hey. Down in my toes to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Deep in my heart. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. All over me. All over me to stay. I got that bulldog spirit.
Deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart.
Millions of veterans have risked their lives to keep our country safe.
Jenna Cliff is here to tell us about some American heroes who are also students at Fresno State.
You wouldn't know it by looking at them, but roughly 300 Fresno State students are veterans. I got to sit down with one who has a very bright future ahead of him.
Among the 24,000 students who attend Fresno State, there are some who stand out, like Jordan Cody. Cody is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. He served for 6 years at Camp Pendleton.
In July of 2010, I was 20 years old, and I was on my first deployment to Afghanistan.
Cody deployed twice to Afghanistan. As an infantryman, he saw things most 20-year-olds will never see.
I was still a child, and I was still new to my job and to doing it all. And fear was there. You know, exhaustion was there.
Cody will never forget one day during his second tour when his life changed forever.
Something happened that day, and this particular day, you know, some bad things happened, and we made it out, and we survived.
But he was injured, seriously enough that he was medically retired. Back in Fresno, Cody started searching for a new beginning.
When I transitioned out of the military, I knew that I wanted to go to college and, you know, expand my education. I just was a bit unsure of where to go and how to get it started, and so many questions and doubts that I had.
Cody's wife found the answer at Fresno State, the Veterans Education Program.
The program was established in 2012 with the hope of connecting veterans and providing them access to resources at Fresno State.
Executive Director Dr. Daniel Bernard says 7 veterans are now part of the program, and he hopes that number will continue to grow.
At the end of completing this program is they will successfully matriculate into Fresno State as full-time undergraduate degree-seeking students.
The program pays for tuition, books, and parking passes for veterans to take 5 courses before they officially enroll. Cody's classes are all veterans, which he says makes the transition easier and keeps the class sizes smaller. The veterans even have a dedicated study area just for them.
It's little subtleties about it that really, and a year long, it really like retrains your mind and who you are to be an active member, you know, of society.
Bernard has big goals for this program.
To grow and expand it. It's to, again, continually provide those opportunities out in the community to individuals who maybe thought Fresno State was never an option for them.
Cody says he's grateful for the program, the donors, and people like Bernard.
I've been very blessed. You know, I try not to bring it up or, you know, give off the wrong impression, but I've been very fortunate so far.
The Veterans Education Program is paid for by donors, so veterans don't have to pay. If you are a veteran or know someone who is, you can find more information at returningveteranseducation.com.
For many veterans, joining the service was their answer to a calling, but one veteran didn't feel fulfilled until after his time in the service. Reporter Brianna White takes us on a colorful adventure with a veteran who has a love for art.
Dean Dallin is a Navy veteran. He served for 3 years, 3 months, and 3 weeks during World War II. He recalls the day the war was over as a joyous occasion.
I was in Portland, Oregon, and papers come flying out of the windows up right downtown, and confetti, and cars started honking and jammed up, and then we discovered the the Japanese had surrendered.
In addition to the war being over, Dallin also had another reason to celebrate. After his years of service, Dallin received a GI Bill. This bill helped to pay his way to art school, where his love and skill for fine art flourished.
I'm very grateful to the Veterans Administration for the GI Bill that I was able to go to art school. It changed my whole life, and now I'm still painting, and I'm still trying to get it right. So I've been selling paintings, I've been winning awards, and I've been teaching and doing demonstrations, and it's been a great ride. But I owe it all to the Veterans Administration for the GI Bill.
Dallin's artwork has been an inspiration to many, including his family.
Father has inspired me to be an artist, and not to the degree that he is, but I do my own work.
While Dallin's artwork has influenced many throughout the Central Valley, it has also had influence at historic sites and has been painted in the gymnasiums of several local high schools. It's clear that his artwork is touching the lives of others, one colorful stroke at a time. Thank you, Mr. Dallin, for your service and your artwork. Brianna White, Fresno State Focus.
Well, that's just some incredible artwork. I would love to see that in person.
Yeah, that is so amazing how he was able to go to art school.
It really warms my heart that we have these GI Bills for these veterans that did so much for our country.
Yeah, I think all of these packages, and not only these stories that we showed, but there's so many other stories that, you know, it would just be so amazing if we could tell them all.
For sure, I agree.
Yeah. Next week on Fresno State Focus, we'll show you how one brave big sister wanted to help her little sister with a disability.
We'll also have our sports reporter Alexis Govea give us an inside look at Bulldog softball.
Plus, we'll show you how Vintage Days holds their auditions for their concerts.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.